What would you do if you found out your child had been abused? Leave it to the authorities, or make your move. When the system stalls or fails entirely, some parents don't wait for verdicts. They act, not as criminals, but as guardians, cornered and feral. I'm Detective Obscura. In this file, we step into 5 harrowing cases where protection turned primal, and the instinct to defend pushed past the bounds of law. These aren't just crimes, they're ruptures in the moral fabric, stitched together with blood, intent, and vengeance. Our first case takes us to Lorena, Texas, where Brandon Moore, a father and survivor of childhood SA, found himself in a nightmare that no parent should endure.
My plan was to murder him, just straight up.
Sean Foster, a trusted neighbor and family friend, had been molesting Moore's daughter, Madeline, since she was 9 years old. Foster's abuse escalated over 5 years, beginning with inappropriate touching and progressing to grooming behaviors. He bought Madeline gifts and offered her a job at his pool construction company, a position she described as vague and overpaid, often involving little more than being told by Foster to just hang out. When Madeline turned 14, Foster suggested drugs and sex, a terrifying proposition that prompted her to confide in her mother. Unable to wait for justice, Brandon devised a plan. He sent his wife and children away for safety and posed as his daughter online to lure Foster to their home. On June 24, 2014, Foster arrived and let himself into Madeline's room. Brandon ambushed him, recording every detail of the confrontation on his phone. He physically restrained Foster until police arrived. In court, Foster was sentenced to 55 years in prison for multiple counts of indecency with a child. Brandon was not charged for his actions, a rare instance where vigilante justice aligned with legal outcomes. The next story takes us to Germany. In 1981, a courtroom turned crime scene. Maryanne Bachm's 7-year-old daughter, Anna, was abducted and murdered in May 1980 by Klaus Grabowski, a man with a deeply troubling past. Grabowski, a 35-year-old convicted offender, had voluntarily undergone chemical castration years earlier, but later sought hormone treatments to regain his libido. Anna had skipped school after an argument with her mother, unknowingly walking into Grabowski's home. Hours later, he strangled her with his fiancé's tights and discarded her body in a box near a canal. The murder devastated Maryanne, who struggled to cope with the loss of her child while enduring the grueling trial of her daughter's killer. On the third day of the trial, March 6, 1981, Maryanne reached her breaking point. Smuggling a .22 caliber Beretta pistol into the Lübeck courtroom, she calmly pulled out the weapon as Klaus Grabowski sat before the judge. Without hesitation, she fired 7 shots at him from behind. 6 bullets struck their target. Witnesses described her demeanor as eerily composed amidst the chaos that erupted in the courtroom. Afterward, she reportedly said, "I wanted to kill him. He killed my daughter. I wanted to shoot him in the face, but I shot him in the back." Maryanne's actions shocked Germany and ignited widespread debate about vigilante justice. Many sympathized with her pain and frustration, viewing her as a mother pushed to extremes by a system that had failed to protect her child. Ultimately, Maryanne Bachm was convicted of manslaughter and unlawful possession of a firearm. She received a 6-year sentence but served only 3 years before being released on probation. Her case became one of Germany's most infamous examples of vigilante justice, symbolizing both the unbearable weight of parental loss and society's struggle to reconcile emotional impulses with legal principles. In Benajúzar, Spain, Maria del Carmen Garcia faced unimaginable trauma after her young daughter, Veronica, was SA by their neighbor, Antonio Soriano. Soriano cornered the girl at knife point and assaulted her in a nearby forest. Garcia acted swiftly to report the crime, leading to Soriano's conviction. He received a prison sentence and was ordered to pay compensation. However, this did little to ease the family's suffering. they endured social ostracism and ridicule from their community, which compounded Garcia's mental anguish and forced her to seek professional help. Despite Veronica's efforts to rebuild her life, the scars of the ordeal lingered for years. Soriano was eventually released on parole and returned to Benejuzar, a decision that deeply unsettled Garcia. Their paths crossed unexpectedly one day when Soriano taunted Garcia with cruel remarks about her daughter. Overwhelmed by rage and years of suppressed pain, Garcia followed him to a bar with a bottle of gasoline. Witnesses described how she calmly approached Soriano, poured gasoline over him, and set him on fire. Soriano sustained severe burns and died days later in a hospital. Garcia's actions shocked the nation, but also garnered widespread public sympathy. Many viewed her as a grieving mother pushed beyond reason by the reappearance of her daughter's rapist. Garcia was sentenced to prison for homicide, though her sentence was later reduced due to her mental state at the time of the crime. Her lawyer fought tirelessly for clemency, gathering thousands of signatures in support of her release. Despite repeated appeals for pardon, Garcia served time, but was eventually granted daytime release. Her story became emblematic of maternal vengeance and mental anguish, sparking debates about justice and morality. Today, Garcia remains largely out of the public eye, but has shared her experiences through documentaries that recount the tragic events that shaped her life. Miriam Rodriguez Martinez's story is a haunting tale of determination and defiance in the face of overwhelming violence. After her daughter Karen was abducted and murdered by the Los Zetas cartel, Miriam transformed her grief into action. She meticulously tracked down 10 of her daughter's killers, employing disguises, fake identities, and sheer ingenuity to infiltrate cartel strongholds. Her relentless pursuit of justice uncovered Karen's remains in a clandestine grave and exposed the brutality of cartel violence, earning her a reputation as a fearless investigator in a country plagued by systemic corruption and impunity. Miriam's crusade for justice extended beyond her personal tragedy. She founded the Colectivo de Desaparecidos, an organization supporting families of missing persons, amplifying the voices of those silenced by cartel terror. Despite receiving death threats and pleading for police protection after one of Karen's murderers escaped prison, Miriam refused to back down. Her efforts brought hope to many, but also made her a target. On May 10th, 2017, armed men were out for blood. That day was Mother's Day. Her death underscored the peril faced by human rights defenders in Mexico and sparked outrage across the nation. Miriam's legacy endures as a symbol of courage against injustice. Her story highlights the devastating impact of cartel violence while revealing the extraordinary resilience of individuals who refuse to surrender to fear. Though her life was cut short, Miriam Rodriguez Martinez remains an emblem of resistance, inspiring calls for systemic reform and greater protection for activists who challenge entrenched criminal networks. Our final case begins when Jeffrey Doucet, a trusted karate instructor, abducted Jody Plauché from his Baton Rouge home and took him to California. For weeks, Doucet subjected Jody to horrific abuse while evading capture. A critical breakthrough came when Doucet allowed Jody to make a collect call to his mother, unaware that the FBI had wiretapped the family's phone. The call was traced to a motel near Disneyland, where police rescued Jody and arrested Doucet. As the Plauché family grappled with the trauma of Jody's abuse, revealed to have started earlier, Gary Plauché wrestled with guilt and rage over his inability to protect his son. On the day Doucet was extradited to Louisiana to face trial, Baton Rouge Airport became the stage for an extraordinary act of vigilante justice. Gary Plauché, consumed by anger and grief, waited at a bank of payphones with a revolver concealed in his boot. As Doucet was escorted through the terminal by police officers, Plauché fired a single shot into Doucet's head at point-blank range. The killing was captured live on television, shocking viewers nationwide. Police restrained Plauché as he calmly placed the phone receiver down, a moment immortalized by the stunned question from an officer, "Why, Gary? Why?" Doucet succumbed to his injuries within hours. The aftermath of the shooting sparked intense debate about morality and justice. Plauché pleaded no contest to manslaughter charges, but received a suspended sentence with probation and community service due to overwhelming public sympathy and psychological evaluations citing temporary insanity. While many applauded him as a father protecting his child, others criticized his actions as undermining due process. Decades later, Jody Plauché forgave his father and became an advocate for child abuse prevention, detailing the emotional fallout in his book Why, Gary, Why? These 5 cases expose the complex interplay between grief, rage, morality, and justice, a reminder that even ordinary people can be driven to extraordinary acts under extreme circumstances. Were these parents justified? Or did they cross ethical boundaries? Could stronger legal systems have prevented such tragedies? Join me next time as we decode another mysterious tale from the shadows. Stay curious, stay safe.